back to another Insider. This week we're going to talk about something that is related to your website. And I must agree, if you have a website, it's definitely something that might cause issues. I always tend to think it's a little bit of a nightmarish kind of situation, which is how you set your contact forms, how you set your email accounts, and how you make it work, which plugins to use, etc., etc. So today I'm going to talk about Microsoft 365 because it's a service that a lot of people use. So I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to tell you why a lot of people use this service, what is the benefit of having it, and how do you set up your forms in your website using this. So how to create your mailer, which is the connection that you need to connect your website to your email account. So come with me and let's see how does it work. So if you have a website, chances are you have a contact form. We all do it. It's one of the most effective ways of getting your clients to contact you. These days, I will not encourage you to put your website, or should I say your email address, directly on your website because of all these phishing scams, and it can be captured by bots, and then you will receive all sorts of advertising email, scam email, you name it. So to block that thing, the best way obviously is to create a contact form, because all emails are sent through the back end of your website, and the client does not have the contact, so they don't have the email, or they don't have your email there. So usually this is done through plugins. So you have your plugin to create your form. In my case, I use WP Forms. And then you need to create a plugin for the SMTP. So that's the plugin that creates that connection, if you like, between your website and your email server, which usually we call mailer. So you need to connect the two services so the emails can go freely. You basically get to authorize your contact form to send emails through your email account. If you have your emails set through your hosting service, usually there's an easy way to set it up with a plugin. I used to have WP SMTP for that, and it's been quite effective. Now, it used to be easier than it is today, I must agree, because now you have to sign up with another service to get that mailing, the mailer sort of thing, that authorizing thing, to make that connection, to make it work. But it's still relatively easy, but there's people that do not use the hosting email. So first of all, let's see what the SMTP is. So this is, as I said, the connection between the form, so your website, and your email service, your email providers. You usually need to have this connection so the form on your website can send you that email, can send that email to you anytime a client fills up, anytime someone fills up your contact form and sends you an inquiry. So that's what it is. Now, as I said, a lot of people use their own hosting providers. They have their own. Usually, you are entitled to a certain amount of email accounts attached to your hosting service. But a lot of people don't like to use this. The reason being is, for example, if you change a hosting provider, chances are your emails, so all the emails that you had in the servers of this hosting service will be lost. I remember that when I last transferred my account from Hostinger, which was horrible, to my current host, Ventra IP, I remember that the team at Ventra IP were amazing, and they managed to migrate all my emails from the previous provider. So it was great. So Ventra IP offered me that service. I don't know if they still do, because obviously I am a client with them for quite a while now, so I don't know if they do, but I believe they might still do so. But the most common thing is that your new provider will not offer that service, will not migrate your emails, and you will lose them. And the reason, and then people choose other services, such as searching it on Google Workplace or Microsoft 365. There's other services, and have their email hosted on those services. For example, Microsoft 365 offer you a wide range of things, including, of course, the Office, the OneDrive, which obviously is also something that comes in handy for a lot of businesses. If you have a business and if you want to have some storage in the cloud, OneDrive is quite a good one to have. So a lot of businesses choose to have Office or Microsoft 365, which will also include the Outlook, which also include to have this mailer, the emails hosted directly in your Microsoft 365 account. So if you change hosting, you don't lose any of your emails because they are hosted separately. What you have to do is then point it out your email on the new servers, on the new host. Again, as I said, it will be just putting the mailer differently, sort of speak. So it's totally independent from your hosting. It's totally independent from where you have your website. And that's the reason why people usually use a service like this. It's just to keep things separated, because if you have to change providers, then you lose your emails. And we know that if for some companies might not be that relevant. For example, in my case, I get to the end of the year and I delete all my emails from that year because they're not really relevant, unless it's something really, really important. But usually I don't have that. For example, now I'm involved with the mentoring program from OSIT, and I'm also part of the Portuguese language division from OSIT, and still I don't think I will need to keep those emails because there's other avenues. For example, for the language division, we have the language division emails where everything are kept there in a Google workspace. So there's always and any documents that you have, they don't really need to be inserted in that. So I usually delete. I have folders in my Outlook. I set up all my Outlook. I have folders, and all those things that need to be kept, I just keep them there. The rest of the email, for example, clients' emails, I don't keep every single time I have a client, I set up a new folder for that client. I don't need to keep all those folders for all my clients. You can imagine my email will be just completely full of emails because, of course, in so many years of career, I have a lot of clients. So it would not be feasible to have all of them there. So for some businesses, you need to have a certain amount of emails. You need to have some documentation that you need to keep. For others, you can really get to the end of the year and delete it, just like myself. But I digress. This was not the purpose of this video. So if you have the Microsoft 365, which is a service used by many businesses, as I said, it gives you access to many Microsoft services, including OneDrive and, this mailer setup. Many businesses want this email, as I said, because they just want to have everything in one spot. They know that it's safe there, it's in the cloud, it's there, they have that amount of storage, and they can do everything through there. So it is a very popular service when people have. Of course, there's a cost. You have to pay for the service. It's rather expensive, but for a lot of businesses, it makes sense because they have everything in one shop. So they have everything in one spot. They have the emails, they have the OneDrive, they have everything organized, and maybe that's what they want. It is accessible, whatever they are, and that's what some businesses might need, and if it fulfills their needs, that's a good thing. Now, before that, for many years, I was using, as I said, the plugin WPSMTP. It's a plugin that was also created by the company that creates WP Forms. It's the same creators, and I've been using this plugin. In fact, my current website still has this plugin. I don't have Microsoft 365, so I've been dealing with this plugin, and it's been fine so far. As I said, it's becoming more and more complicated with more processes and less things included in the free plugin. Now, this is where the criticism comes in, is that if you have this plugin, you will notice that there are an array of services that they provide in the free plugin. However, if you have Microsoft 365, it's on the pay plugin. Quite frankly, I think this is rather annoying and unfair, because the customers are already paying for the service with Microsoft 365, and it's quite expensive, as I said. And then they want you to pay another cost on top of that just to make that connection. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's appropriate. So recently I was working on a website that the person had Microsoft 365, and we encountered this issue. And obviously the person wasn't happy to have another cost added to what they already pay for the Microsoft 365 just to connect the form. So here we go on a search for a better option, for something that could be done in as an alternative, because of course the person was not going to take the email out of the 365. They have the service for a very long time, and of course it's very useful for their businesses, for the business, and they were not going to do it. We have to find an alternative. And I found another plugin that does all of these connections for free. And I think what is happening today with web designing and everything regarding web designing is, I would say, really shocking, because we know that all services and people, it's people's jobs, etc., etc. The problem is, after the pandemic, and with the increase in demand for web designing services, the people that provide these services took advantage of that and are now charging basically almost for everything. And I believe it is a little bit on an excessive side, because they are creating the opposite. People are walking away. So this plugin, I've been using this plugin for a very long time, and now because of this, I'm walking away from the plugin, because of course it is an increase in costs that obviously, and with the current situation where everything it's such a high price, people cannot afford it. And what is the best? Having a client, and that client possibly give you positive feedback and bring you more clients, or start losing clients altogether. So anyway, anyone is free to run their business the way they think fit. But what is happening today is really bad. This is another plugin, as I said, it's called Fluent SMTP. And what it does is creates this mailer, this authorize, this permit, sort of speak, that makes that connection, that mailer, and makes your form work. So I found this plugin. It's a very good plugin. It has everything that WP SMTP does. Everything. It has exactly the same models, and even the setup, for example, for the 365 is exactly the same. Only one is gonna charge you, and the other one it's allowing you to do it for free. So this is what I did. But however, if you are looking for instructions to set up your Microsoft 365, you may run in a few bumps. I did recently with this client, and I followed the prompts, I followed everything, and I end up hitting a brick wall, and it was rather frustrating, because I couldn't get it. So I would follow the prompts, and when I got to the final stage, it simply the plugin would not, or Microsoft 365 would not authenticate the account, so the plugin. So it was a mess. So to connect your this in short, to connect your to create this mailer, you need to register your plugin, so your Fluent SMTP, on your Azure portal. Azure, if you are a Office or a Microsoft 365 user, you are very familiar with Azure. Is the portal where all your Office, your 365 services are hosted. So you have everything there. So you have to log into your Azure portal, and to do that, you then must register the app. The app is the plugin, with a callback link that is provided with your plugin. So when you install your plugin and you set up your plugin, that plugin then will show you a callback link that you must copy, and then you have to go to your Azure, and you need to add that plugin, so register that application. That's basically what it is, and you need then to put that plugin, that callback link. When you do, so when you're trying to register that app, you please choose the third redirect URI and copy the callback link provided. So the second account, you choose the third option for the second account type. So the one that has multi-tenant and shows Skype, I think is a third option. You need to choose that one. That's the one that will make it work. Then you choose web. Below that, you have to choose web, and you then copy that link, the callback plugin. That's it. You have it registered. Then the second step is, once you do this, you copy the client ID that will appear on that registration, and you put back into your plugin. There is a space where you fill the client ID. Then you must create a secret in your Azure. You create a secret. There's also a little button. Then you click on your Azure. You click there to create the secret. And to do so, set it with, for example, there is expiry. Unfortunately, these things have expiry. And obviously choose the bigger one, the 24-month expiry term. And after you create that with all the parameters, you choose the name, etc. And then you will get a value. So there will be a little window that opens, and it has the name, it has the value, and then it has another code that is the secret. So that value will only be visible on that occasion. If you walk away from that window, that value will then become dots, so it will disappear and you won't be able to retrieve it anymore. So my advice is, once that secret is created, you should copy that value, what appears in that space, in that field called value, copy it, save it somewhere safe, and keep it for future use if you need. And then there is a secret, and this is where some things go wrong. I was watching a lot of videos, I was following the prompts, and what I was being instructed to do is, back to your plugin, you would put that client ID that you got from the registration of the app and the secret that you would get when you then create that secret. That's not correct, because if you put that code, that bit of code that appears on that secret field, and if you copy back on your website and then you click authenticate, it won't authenticate. It will say that the code is invalid. So I've done this. I missed a lot of hours wasted trying to find a solution for this, until I actually found a video of no less than WP SMTP, which, by the way, as I said, is set up exactly the same. And I heard the person saying that when you connect it back to authenticate the whole thing, you don't use the secret, but you use the value. That value that will disappear once you walk away from that window. As I said, and I did, I saved that value in a Word file. So if I need it in the future, if my client needs it in the future, it's there. I went there, I copied that value, I set it back in my plugin, I authenticate, I tested the email, and Bob's your uncle. My form was working, my plugin was, the mailer was authenticated, and my Microsoft 365, my client's Microsoft 365 and the form on the website were linked and everything was working correctly. So this is where the things can come complicated. Sometimes there are a lot of videos, and let's be honest, a lot of these systems, they are constantly being updated, and sometimes in these updates that's when things can go wrong, because they may change processes in the meantime. They change processes, and you might be watching a video prior to that change, and you might end up being following the wrong video or following the wrong instructions. So please, if you're using Microsoft 365, if you want a free plugin, I recommend Fluent SMTP. It's a good plugin. And then please, when you are connecting, when you are following all those processes of registering your application or your plugin in your Azure portal, make sure that when you go back to your plugin, you copy the value on that secret component of that registration, not the secret itself. It's the value that you should be copying back to your plugin with the client ID, which is the one that appears on the first step of that registration before you create a secret. You copy that client ID and you put in one of the fields in your plugin. Then you copy that value on the second field, and then you simply click Authenticate. It gives you a token, and that token you will be put back into your plugin. So when you create those things, then gives you a token, and then you go back, you put that token on your plugin, and then you authenticate. That's the correct step. And then after you authenticate, it prompts you to create a test email. It tests your form, tests your email, and this plugin is actually very good because you can see all the emails that have failed, all the emails that were sent. So you have a little bit of more a view of what is happening if people are trying to send emails and they're failing or something like that. So you can see if your plugin is working correctly or not. So a very good plugin, I do recommend. So I decided to talk about this today because I know this is a serious issue. I think if you have ever done a website in your life, you know that connecting your contact forms, it's usually that big nightmare that no one wants to go through. It's the contact forms and then publishing the website. The migration of websites, it's also something that it's very, very complicated. And usually it's because of the servers, the hosting services. There's always things that don't agree and you have lots of issues. So this is the two most problematic steps when you are building a website. I'll be doing a video about WordPress and the latest changes to WordPress that sometimes can get a little frustrating. I'll be doing that sometime in the future. I'm still collecting a little bit of information to build up the video itself, maybe for our August videos. It won't be in July, it will be maybe for August. So stay tuned. I will be coming back to WordPress and I will be coming back to websites. But for today, it was just this little piece of information regarding Microsoft 365 and linking your Microsoft 365 to your contact form. I hope this has helped you. So for today, I hope you liked this Insider today. I hope if you are doing your next version of your website, and if you indeed use Microsoft 365, I hope this came as a massive help. I know how much it helped me finding out this information, because it is something that it's complicated, and sometimes with all these paying plugins and all this information that you get online, you get loads of information that sometimes do not provide you the best information. So it's always good to have someone that comes and say something. This was the latest information. This happened to me just basically a few weeks ago. I went through it, and this is what happened to me, and now I solved my problem. So that's why I decided to share with you. So if you are in the same predicament as I was a few weeks ago, please don't be listen and do it like that. It's very simple. What really annoyed me in the end, it was that it was a very, very, very simple process. You basically can do that in a few minutes. It won't take you more than, I would say it won't take you more than 5 minutes, really. It's really simple. But if you are not following the steps, and in my case, it was that little piece of information that was wrong. I was being prompted to copy the wrong code. And of course, I was copying the wrong code. I was not getting my authentication. And of course, the form was not going to work. So this is sometimes a tiny little step, a tiny little piece of information that if it's missing or is not provided properly, may lead to hours and hours of research and try and error and frustration, a huge amount of frustration, I would say, and sometimes for a very simple thing. I would say this is very simple. You can easily connect your Microsoft 365 to your website. You can create your mailer. Really simple. This is really, really simple. It's easy. I would say even less than 5 minutes and you will have it done, providing that you are following the right steps and you are just putting the right codes. One code missed, that's it, and you will be there for hours and hours. The most important thing, that value, copy it, save it on Word file, on Microsoft Notes, whatever you think it's important, on a book, whatever. I would say a digital version would be better because it's easier to copy, paste, and type it all along. So save it, have it, because if you in the future need to do that and you need that value again, you have it there and you can use it. So this is what I did. But now, if you have any suggestions, if you actually have another plugin that can connect Microsoft 365 to your contact form to do this mailer process, that is also free and it's also very good, please suggest. The more the merrier, as we say. If we have more alternatives, is also good. And if you have encountered the same issue, let us know. How did you solve the issue? And what was your experience? What did you do? Because honestly, for me, it was like 1.5 weeks of hell trying to get this sorted. And because everything that I was finding was leading to the same code, I was not getting anything done because I was always hitting the wrong note. Basically, I was always going and copying the wrong code until I found that video that was totally unrelated to this plugin. In fact, it was from the other plugin. And I decided, I thought, well, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to try it. And I did, and it worked. So sometimes you just need to keep on trying. And well, it is what it is. This situation with websites these days is quite, can be quite frustrating at times with some things, and this is one of them. So if you have any experience with any of these plugins with creating your mailer, just share with us which plugin did you use, which services were you trying to connect. For example, if you are trying to connect the Google Drive, another thing, it's with the backup plugin, which also for the 365 for the OneDrive is paid, which I think is ridiculous. If you have other plugins that you used for other services, like for example for the Google Workspace and things like that, let us know. So if you know more alternatives that can be used, there's also something else that we can look for. And if you have, apart from this, if you have any suggestions of something that you would like me to talk about in our Insider, please let me know by a comment below. And put a like and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new Insider every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.